Welcome to Inspiring Narratives, your favorite channel for uplifting stories, renewed hope, and cultivating a deeper connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Discover with me how turning to Allah can lead you to amazing changes in your life. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We are back with another uplifting story that will, by the grace of Allah, strengthen your faith and renew your hope, inshallah. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, who has blessed us with countless favors and guided us to the straight path. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Get yourself your favorite drink, get comfortable, let's get started with today's video. I pray you're doing well and that your heart is filled with peace, love, optimism and happiness, inshallah. May every step you take bring you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and may He fulfill all your desires. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. The main reason I choose to share these stories is to bring your attention to one of the most beautiful and powerful acts of worship by the grace of Allah, dhikr, the remembrance of Allah. However, more than just telling a story, my goal is to encourage you to reflect and inspire you to work on bettering yourself while drawing closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As the saying goes, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a new result. As mentioned in the Quran, indeed, Allah will not change the condition of a people until they change what is within themselves. Subhanallah, transformation begins from within. When I select a story to share, I do so with great care. While every story has its own beauty and depth, I specifically look for those that hold the greatest benefits to us. Stories that touch the heart, teach us important lessons, are thought-provoking, and ultimately bring us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Some stories may resonate deeply with those going through similar situations, while others may not strike the same chord if someone is in a different season of life. For example, someone currently enjoying good health might not relate as strongly to a story about illness, and that's okay. But in that moment, you are reminded to cherish that blessing of health, to reflect and say, Alhamdulillah. I've also been told by some brothers that many of the stories I share involve women, and they would appreciate hearing more stories about men. I understand, and I do try to keep variety in mind. But what matters most to me is the message, not the gender, marital status, or background of the individual in the story. Whether it's a brother or a sister, married or single, young or old, every story carries wisdom if we listen with an open heart. So no matter your situation, I believe there's always something to take away, a reminder, a lesson, or even just a renewed sense of gratitude. Let's start with today's story. This sister says, I was, as they say, very reckless with my life, with my relationship with Allah, my faith, my prayers. I didn't pray, didn't worship Allah, didn't remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in any way. But Allah, glory be to Him, sent me signs. He chose to send me warning signs to awaken me. But due to my weak faith and distance from Him, I wasn't aware of those signs. Then I was afflicted with a disease called Crohn's disease, which is a chronic inflammatory bowel disease. Eventually I had my colon completely removed, but alhamdulillah, I recovered and became healthy again. In 2019, I got very sick. All those years when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was giving me that time, saying, I see you, I'm giving you a chance, I'm waiting for you to come back to me. But subhanAllah, I didn't have a strong connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, I wasn't aware of the signs or the tests that were being sent to me. In 2019, I got extremely sick. I traveled to Jordan with the intention of taking my kids back with me to Saudi Arabia as they were on holiday. But I couldn't finish the vacation. I had to cut it short. I started bleeding and no one knew the reason. Subhanallah, I came back from Riyadh airport at 3 a.m. To this day, I remember it vividly, as if it's playing in front of my eyes. I got off the plane. I don't know how I walked, how I passed through passport control, got to my car, got home. I have no idea. I was so weak. I had an infection in the pouch they made for me. I was very sick. I woke up at 9 a.m. to bleeding. I was standing in the bathroom bleeding with no clear cause. They rushed me to the hospital. They ran tests and said, we don't know what's causing the bleeding. I kept bleeding from 8 in the morning until 5 p.m. My hemoglobin dropped from 12 to 6. It was an emergency at that point. The doctor moved me from my room to the ICU. They did a scope check to find out what the issue was, and then took me to the ICU. In the ICU, the machines were going off. Patient in danger, emergency. I kept bleeding non-stop. After some time, they moved me back to my room. My face turned yellow. The doctor came in and said, when I did the scope and saw what was inside your body, and I've been a doctor for 10 years and I've never seen anything like this in a patient. First time I ever see a doctor so pale from fear. I asked him, what did you see inside? He replied, something I can't even describe. He pulled my husband aside and told him, your wife's condition is very critical. I advise you to recite the Shahada to her. She's bleeding and will die any moment. I was right on the edge of death. The doctor was certain that I wouldn't make it. My blood pressure was 60, my heart rate 225. I was dying. Subhanallah, at that moment, I desperately turned to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's like He opened my eyes as I heard the doctor say to my husband, say goodbye to your wife, she's dying. To this day, I remember the dua I made. 6 years have passed, and I remember it like it happened yesterday. I said, oh Allah, not for my sake, but for the sake of my children. They'll be orphans if I die. Then I said another dua. I don't know how the words came to me. I said, oh Allah, give me more time so that I can fix my relationship with you. Because I didn't pray, didn't do dhikr, I listened to music all the time. I was truly lost. Subhanallah, and here's the miracle. I swear the bleeding stopped within seconds of that dua. My blood pressure turned to 90 and my heart rate calmed down. The doctor came in and asked, you were saying something. What did you say? Please tell me. I couldn't even speak to ask for some water. I had IVs and blood bags attached to me. He said, please tell me the dua. I said, oh Allah, give me time to fix my relationship with you. I was 100% sincere in these words. And I truly meant it. I didn't want to die in a state of disobedience. A deep, overwhelming regret washed over me. That dua was a miracle. The bleeding stopped. My blood pressure and heart rate normalized. I swear I was sleep deprived for 13 years. I could barely sleep an hour in a day. That night I slept deeply. I was so happy and at peace. My friend who was with me kept checking if I was still breathing or if I'd died. I realized and I asked her, what is it? She said, you're sleeping and smiling. I told her I'm finally enjoying sleep after 13 years. Later they took me to the operating room to remove the pouch and gave me a stoma on my right side. And it didn't end there. I recovered, alhamdulillah. After I got better, I was overwhelmed with guilt. I had wronged Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala so much. I hadn't prayed, worn the hijab, or avoided music. So I changed. I committed to my prayers, the fard and the sunnah. I prayed at night. I sponsored an orphan. I gave sadaqah. I did every act of worship I could think of to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I made a promise that I would fix my relationship with Allah. So I did just that. Later, the doctor said I needed to have my remaining rectum removed. He told me surgery is coming for you no matter what, and you need to have it removed. Either you remove it or you'll have to live with the stoma for the rest of your life. I told him, you doctors say it's impossible, but Allah is capable of all things. I have certainty and faith in Allah that He'll restore me to how I was before. He said, okay, come back in 2 weeks and we'll decide what we'll do about the operation. That week I went to Umrah. I prayed to Allah in His house. I said, oh Allah, I come to you as a guest in your house. You are the most generous. You never turn anyone away. They say they'll remove my rectum and I won't return to being how I was before. I beg you, don't let them. Let me return to my normal self. The doctor had said it's impossible to return to how I was before. However, I made dua with complete certainty in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I was sure, completely certain that my dua would be answered. When I came back to Riyadh, the doctor said, I reviewed your file again and there's no need for surgery. We'll leave the rectum, so if one day you want to reverse the stoma, you can return to how you were before. That day, I cried my heart out. I prostrated in gratitude. I said, "Oh Allah, how generous you are." And the blessings didn't stop. Since then, every time I make dua to Allah, Allah blesses me. Where I was and where I am now, subhanallah, Allah has blessed me with a new life and a new opportunity. The blessings from Allah keep coming, alhamdulillah. Last Ramadan, I made dua to Allah. I said, "Ya Allah, you are generous. You do not turn anyone away without answering them. Oh Allah, grant me a home, not through any strength or power of my own. I swear by Allah, my husband and I had nothing but 100 dinars. Imagine that. 100 dinars is roughly $140. That was my dua last Ramadan, and I'm living it today. I am now in our new home. How? I don't know. The house is worth 135,000 dinars, which is about 200,000 US dollars or over 500,000 Saudi riyals. Know that Allah is capable of all things. Miracles didn't stop with the prophets. Nothing is impossible. It's impossible. Allah won't answer. You are making dua to the most generous. No one is more generous than Allah. I have experienced His generosity and I'm still living by the generosity of Allah. Don't say it's impossible. Don't say I've prayed too much. You are praying to the most generous, the giver, the sustainer. I am living these miracles until this day. Let me share something else with you. I made dua to Allah just recently. I said, "Oh Allah, make me rich, self-sufficient and able to give." I swear by Allah. Someone called me and said, "I've been searching for you. I got your number from your sister. I want to work with you and open a company in Jordan, and I want you to manage it. You can choose your own salary. I want to benefit from you and from your experience." Can you imagine? Some forms of sustenance we pursue, while others find their way to us. When he called and told me he wanted to start a company with me as the manager, free to choose my own salary, and said, "I can't imagine working with anyone but you," I broke down in tears, feeling like a child who had finally gotten the toy they had always dreamed of. I stand in dua like a child. By morning, Allah has blessed me. Whenever I'm upset or broken, I say, "Indeed, I only complain of my suffering and grief to Allah." And not a few hours pass before He lifts my sadness and replaces it with overwhelming joy, a joy that makes me cry. Imagine being lost in sin only for Allah to bless you with guidance. My life has completely turned around. Allah does not wish to take us while we are upon sin. He is the most loving, the most compassionate. I am living in the immense blessings that Allah has bestowed upon me. SubhanAllah. Such a beautiful story, mashallah. Indeed, Allah is the most generous of the generous. If you're healthy today, imagine for a moment if you weren't. If you were running back and forth from hospitals, relying on medications, and struggling with your daily needs. That simple reflection can ignite deep appreciation in your heart for a blessing we often overlook. As you listen to these stories, take a moment to reflect. Remember Allah, be grateful, and ask yourself, what lesson can I take from this story? May Allah bless you always. This brings us to the end of this video. If you found any value in this video, don't forget to like it and share it with your loved ones. Remember, those who guide others to good are like those who do good themselves. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so do leave a comment down below. Make it something you hope to be rewarded for, inshallah. I'll see you in the next video. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.